Just a quick tutorial on electric brake cutouts. Now, if you are finding that your bike, you're riding along, no problems at all, and then out of nowhere you go to ride again and you have no motor power, this may be related to your electric brake cutouts, which are this little fella here with the adjuster on the end. Now, the way to tell when your brake cutouts are active is you'll see this little exclamation mark here on the display, right? If you're on a Chubby or a Riptide, there isn't a little indicator like this, so I'll show you what to do for that in a moment. Or if you're on our color display, the brake cutout looks like this little red fella up here, and that's completely normal for that to show. In fact, it's quite handy to know because you can tell when your brake cutouts are active. Now, what happens is sometimes on the very odd occasion, particularly out of the box, they might not be quite adjusted enough. So you may find you go for a ride and you're all good, and then out of nowhere your bike loses power. So what we want to do to fix this is we want to establish which lever is the culprit for this problem. So there's a number of ways you can do that. The first being by simply sitting on the bike and just pulling the levers and letting go and seeing if that light stays on when the brake is not on. So if we find that after we've taken our hand off the lever and the indicator is still on, well, then we know that it's one of these levers potentially. If it's the right side, we know when we take our hand off and the indicator's still there that it's the right lever that's the issue. If we haven't got a little exclamation mark on our screen on the Chubby models, etc., it's a little bit more tricky. You may need to trace the electrical wire back to the plug and unplug the one lever at a time and take the bike for a test ride and try and establish which side it is. But once we've kind of figured which lever it is, another telltale sign might be that the distance of the amount of thread exposed here versus this side is a little bit more on that side than the other. So that's another telltale sign that one might not be adjusted correctly. But once we've figured the side that is keeping the brake cutout active when we take the lever off, all we need to do is get our spanner here, and we just want to do one turn to loosen it off, 1/2 turn, sorry. Then we can go and test the bike, take it for a few rides, and just make sure that that little fella isn't coming on when our hands aren't on the brake. And if the problem goes away, we're laughing. Otherwise, if it's still doing it, you might need to do one more 1/2 turn again and take it for a few more rides. But that should be all you need to do. You don't want to loosen it any further than sort of 1/2 turn at a time, because these are very sensitive if you loosen them off or tighten them up too much. But typically you'll need to loosen that 1/2 turn to get that right. So that should solve the brake cutout issues if you are having one, so to speak.